morning birds. We are going to learn about expository essays in this lesson today. An expository essay, we're going to talk about what it is, what is needed in an expository essay, and where we can find some more information about that. Because this is a very brief lesson, I'm going to give out some resources at the end. An expository essay is an essay that presents information about a topic. It requires the writer to have knowledge about that topic or do research about the topic in some cases, and it requires good organization. Also, another point about expository essays is that because they're presenting information, it should be fairly neutral, and we'll talk about some ways to help make sure that that happens later on. But some things that expository writing can include. It could include describing something, listing order of events, comparing two or more things and contrasting them perhaps, and explaining cause and effect, and then describing a problem and a solution. So many of these will and can happen inside of an expository essay. One very common use of an expository essay is on essay questions on tests. They oftentimes ask for expository things. Here are two example questions. What are three important factors that led to the American Revolutionary War? That would be, a writing prompt where you would have to write an essay in response, maybe in a history class. And the second one, describe life on a farm. Use as many specific details as you can. So there's a second example. So both of these during a test setting, again, they're not asking you to take a stand and argue a point or make a specific argument at all. They are asking you to state details and information about a certain topic. So this is, of all the essay types, I feel that this one is the most objective. Like just presenting information, trying to be accurate, trying to be precise in your wording. The parts of an essay. We talked about the importance of organization. Pretty much this will be the same in most essays. If you set it up like this, you're going to be in good shape. So here is the basics of an essay. First off, you'll have your introduction. Usually in your introduction paragraph, you'll have some kind of an attention getter, something that's exciting and interesting. Then you'll state your thesis statement. Your thesis statement is the point. What's the point of this essay? Usually within your thesis, you have what's called a three-pronged thesis, where you will try and make 3 points. And then each of the following paragraphs in the body of the essay will actually go over those points. And you'll go over those 3 points paragraph by paragraph by paragraph in the body, and then you'll make a conclusion where you readdress the thesis at the end and state what your conclusion is based on all the information that you've presented inside of this essay. So some notes that are specific to expository essays is that because it's presenting information, the tone should be formal. Especially if you're writing it on a test or it's being graded in some kind of way, you want to have a formal tone. You want to avoid slang. The elephant is really fat. The cat makes me laugh, LOL. Those are examples of things that you don't want to say in an expository essay. Can you imagine handing something like that into your teacher? Holy cow. Avoid using I statements. I think England sounds like a nice place to visit. Instead, try saying something like, England is a great place to visit. You are writing the essay, so we already know that it's from your point of view. So if you use I statements, it's redundant and it takes away from the formal tone of the essay. So those are just two points that teachers like to look out for when they are grading expository essays. So be careful and watch out for those. If you do research for a paper, now on a test, obviously if you're given the test, question that day, you can't do research. But if you do research for an expository paper, make sure that you have a reference page. It'll list the resources that you use. Again, mainly this would be for a paper that your teacher gave you in advance, gave you time to think about, research, and go back. And we'll talk more specifically about research papers, but if you're using a source, make sure to cite that source. If you're writing an essay for class or for a test or a situation with no preparation, obviously you wouldn't need a reference page. A lot of expository writing, you don't need a reference page. If you don't do any research, you basically don't need to have it.
Expository essay example. So the prompt states that Alexander Smith said, "The great man is the man who does a thing for the first time. Do you agree with this definition of greatness? Why or why not?" The introduction. This introduction is really well written because it pumps up the reader, or gets the reader involved in the essay. It's very interesting. She starts off by saying, just as there are many definitions of greatness, there are also many definitions of success, there are also many definitions of greatness. And so she's starting off the essay by directly tackling the prompt and kind of hinting towards her opinion over this quote. And she talks about how he is right, but she also has an opinion about it, and she doesn't think that the quote is broad enough to just talk about everyone who's great. And then she has her thesis statement that says, in my opinion, greatness can also be attained by doing something to improve the lives of others. So this is what her essay will be about and what she's going to talk about. So the writer first transitions into her first body paragraph by saying Mother Teresa is the first person to come to mind under this broaden definition. Notice the word she used, broaden. In her introduction, she also used the word broaden, saying how the quote wasn't specific enough to tackle all the people that were great. So this is her tying her first body paragraph with her introduction. So this is a very good transition. If we look at the next paragraph, it says, another great person who also won the Nobel Peace Prize was Dr. Albert Schweitzer, a German doctor who, like Mother Teresa, also selfishly served the poor and sick. So if we look at the beginning, it says that Mother Teresa also received a Nobel Peace Prize. And in the second one, she says, another great person who also won a Nobel Peace Prize. So this is her tying in her second body paragraph with her first. She also talks about how Dr. Albert Schweitzer is like Mother Teresa. So that's her tying that in. And then the last one, which is about Harriet Tubman, is tied in with the second body paragraph by saying how she risked her life over and over again, and how she helped people. And at the last sentence, if you see the last sentence on the second paragraph, it says about Dr. Albert Schweitzer that he was not the first to offer care and comfort for the sick and suffering. So this is referring to Harriet Tubman, which just connects all the paragraphs together. The conclusion basically ties everything together to make the essay be well connected. So again, she addresses her three people, which were Mother Teresa, Albert Schweitzer, and Harriet Tubman. And she addresses the prompt again, which talks about greatness and how it is used to help others. And then she gives her examples. So this is a very good conclusion because it ties basically the whole essay together. It has a great transition. And the essay was overall good because it had a pump it up introduction, it had great transition, it was well organized, and the conclusion brought everything together. The conclusion is tying the whole essay together, and it restates the prompt first of all, or hints towards it by saying that there are many examples of greatness upon which to model our lives. And it refers back to her introduction when she said that the prompt wasn't broad enough and that there are many examples, many people who are different, who are great at what they do and how they help people. And then she refers back to her body paragraphs by addressing Mother Teresa, Albert Schweitzer, and Harriet Tubman, and how they tirelessly helped others and how they were great at it and how they achieved success by not doing something for the first time. Alright, this is the MLA citation where I got this essay and took in the notes and the prompts that it was from, so here you go. Thank you for watching.